Ready, wo? Ready. Morning and namaste. This is Navaraj Dhakal. I am a student of Ph.D. in management, and I am basically from Nepal, and I live in Tibet, China now. This is the presentation for the seminar work in the research methodology assignment. My topics of this dissertation or PhD thesis is trade deficit in Nepal. And let me talk about trade deficit and basically first about the international trade. Exchange of goods and service beyond the border of a country is international trade. If any country buys something from another countries or sell something to another countries, then it is international trade. And after 1990s, when the world was open up and came into the open economy, the international trade has been flourished and enhanced day by day due to the opportunity created by the free trade regime, basically led by WTO and open economy. International trade is increasing in the world. What is trade deficit? A trade deficit occurs when a country's imports exceed its export. At present, no country produces everything they need. They produce the goods in which they have competitive advantage, and they buy the goods from other countries where other countries do have competitive advantage. That basically means no country produce everything that they require. Some goods they produce and export to other countries, and some goods they import from other countries. And trade deficit is the result of more import than export in given period of time. Nepal is having alarming trade deficit from 2001 till present. Despite of several efforts that Nepal has done to increase international trade, basically the export of the goods from Nepal, it has been seen that the trade deficit has been increased. Import has been increased and export has been at least stagnant or decreasing to some extent. And in trade deficit in Nepal is caused by excessive import of consumable goods and decline export of conventional exporting goods. What are the Nepal's conventional exporting goods? They are the handicrafts, the carpets, the herbal products, tea and coffee. This table here shows that trade deficit in Nepal since 2001 to 2020. I have put this table a little slim by removing some of the data between 1 and 4, 7 and 8, 8 and 10 and so on. So if we see the export of Nepal in 2001, that is 0.74 billion US dollar, whereas the import was 1.47 billion US dollar, and that resulting in 0.74 billion US dollar trade deficit. Likewise, in 2010, Nepal exported goods equivalent to 0.87 billion US dollar, whereas Nepal import goods of 5.12 billion US dollar, resulting in 4.24 billion US dollar. Likewise, in 2020, Nepal exported 0.85 billion US dollar goods exported. Sorry, let me correct it. Nepal exported 0.85 billion in US dollar goods and imported 9.56 billion in dollars, resulting in 8.71 billion US dollar trade deficit of Nepal. So that is quite alarming situation, and the number shows that the trade deficit is increasing day by day, and a little improvement in 2020, that is again 8.71 billion, which is quite high. So if we see the graph that shows the trade deficit of Nepal between 2020s, the the blue line shows the export which almost remains stagnant or similar, and the red line shows the import which is galloping in an alarming state, and the green one is the trade deficit. Green line is the trade deficit which has been galloping down, and it is increasing. I have shown in the x-axis the year 2001 to 20, and in the y-axis the export and import in US dollar billions. Why it is necessary to study about the trade deficit of Nepal? As Nepal is facing an alarming trade deficit, it resulted in several adverse impact in its economy. Trade deficit caused a multiple negative impact in the economy of Nepal. It reduced the foreign currency reserve very sharply. For example, in this current fiscal year, the foreign currency reserve of Nepal is only equivalent to 6.5 months imports. That basically means Nepal can import goods and service for 6.5 months only by using its foreign currency. That is quite alarming situation, and normally it is believed that the reserve of the foreign currency should be equivalent to the 10 months import of any country. It shrinks the national saving in about 9%. The national saving of Nepal currently is about 9%, and remaining 91% is gone to the consumer to consume by the people of Nepal. That means many of the large amount of the national money goes into consumption, and these consumable goods are to be brought from outside, from other countries that contributed in trade deficit, and vice versa. The trade deficit contributed the less saving in the national perspective, and this less saving resulted in the low investment and low employment generation, low production, and the vicious circle of the lower circle of this economy, which is not good for Nepal. And it also impact on economic growth of Nepal, as I have already said that due to the limited investment in industrial and agriculture sector, the production cannot be increased. Hence, the GDP is not increasing as expected. The data average of the GDP increase in Nepal is 5% since 2010, and there are some challenging years like 2015 where there was earthquake, and 2016 where there was disturbance in trade, and this year the trade deficit, this year the GDP was even negative. Thus, it is necessary to find out the reason of trade deficit in Nepal and need to suggest measures to address these. A study is necessary. That is why I choose these topics for my study, trade deficit in Nepal. And what is the objective of the study? As I have already told, the general objective of the study is to identify the causes of the trade deficit in Nepal. That is the basic and important objective. And some other specific objectives are to find out the role of international bottlenecks, production, trade process, and policy regime in the trade deficit in Nepal. Likewise, the second objective is to find out the role of external environment, market access, and connectivity in the trade deficit in Nepal. And thirdly, this study aims to suggest the policy measures for addressing the trade deficit in Nepal. Let me explain a little about the trade process and policy regime within the country. International trade, in international trade there are many actors, activities, and process involved. And in spatially speaking, 3 points are important in international trade. For the first is domestic within the country, the second is at the border points, and third is the beyond the borders. And in the domestic realm, the actor, producers, the governments, the transporters are involved, whereas in the border point, custom authorities, regulatory authorities exist, and beyond the border, of course, the receiving country or distant countries and their rules, regulations, and their transit system that is involved in international trade process. Likewise, in external environment, market access is the important. The goods should be able to reach in the distant market in duty-free, quota-free, or concessional custom duty, or normal custom duty is as the agreement has done between the countries. For example, in Nepal is the land of countries, and the connectivity, the transit regime also to have very important role for transiting goods to and from Nepal, and in connection to the market access, again the connectivity issue comes around. So I will be looking into the all these factors in two categories. First is the domestic bottlenecks, production and productivity, trade process and policy regime. And the second is external environment or external shock, that is market access and connectivities. And the research question is very clear and simple. What are the major factors contributing to the trade deficit in Nepal? That is my research questions. And research methods, the research will be based on exploratory data analysis of primary and secondary data. For primary data collection, digital survey tools will be used. That might be Survey Monkeys or some other tool relevant. And for secondary data collection, data published by international organizations such as WTO, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, UNCTAD, IMF, and Trade and Export Promotion Center (TPC) of Nepal will be taken as required. And different software, including Microsoft Excel and SPSS, will be used to analyze data. Data analysis is very important. For that, the software such as SPSS or Microsoft Excel will be used. An analytical and descriptive method will be used to interpret the finding of the data analysis. And that's all about my presentation. Thank you for your kind attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I'll be happy to further modify, edit, or clarify as instructed by my professor. Thank you very much.